You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. ECZ says no grade 12 certificate, no parliamentary office. FELIX MUTATI wins MDC presidency 7 months after party's formation. UNZA plans to prune its workforce by almost half due to financial crisis at the institution. In international news, Congo-Brazzaville voters lack hope of free and fair presidential election. And in sports news, NAPSA Stars gives away a 2-0 lead to draw 2-2 with Algerian side. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
I'm Ambassador Frank Mutsabila. My 50 years journey in the media has now taken me to Camnet television. I'm very excited to join this amazing inner family. The importance of governance issues cannot be overemphasized. Every Tuesday at 20:45, I'll be going under the skin of a governance issue with my guest. I'll be interrogating the guest so that you can make an informed decision. I'll be coming on every Tuesday at 20:45 with Frank on Camnet.
Zambia, your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Time,
Friday and Saturday, 14 hours to 18 hours. Admission, free.
Make a date with us.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. 3 civil society organizations championing for the responsible use of tobacco Wednesday morning stormed the Ministry of Health, demanding answers to why the tobacco and nicotine bill has not been taken to Parliament for possible enactment. Mental Health Users Network of Zambia representative Sylvester Kantotokam says there is need to have a piece of legislation that protects people from the harms of tobacco. Government, through the Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Kennedy Malama, who held a closed-door meeting with the protesters, is yet to disclose what they agreed upon. More in this report.
Domestically, tobacco-related illnesses and deaths cost the Zambian economy approximately 2.8 billion kwacha, which equates to 1.2% of the gross domestic product. The Ministry of Health has reported that there are over 7,000 tobacco-related illnesses yearly, with youths and adolescents being the most affected. In addition, the Ministry of Health also estimated approximately 7,312 tobacco-related deaths in 2020. This has forced a consortium of civil society organizations championing tobacco control to press the Ministry of Health for answers as to why the tobacco bill has not been taken to Parliament for possible enactment.
The issue that we are crying for is having a piece of legislation in this country. There is no reason why the whole lot of us as Zambians should be ignorant indeed that tobacco to some extent is killing us, and we need to start arresting such shenanigans. How can we arrest it? By having a piece of legislation in this country. We are of the know that a document is on the journey coming to becoming a law. Our cry is, but for how long should we wait? The more we wait, the more people are dying. The more we wait, the more people are dying. I don't belong to that group that wants to see people continue dying because of procrastination. I'm testifying, I'm proving to Zambians, even to the world, that today I am crying for this bill to become a law. We are saving people's lives. It is people's lives we are saving. It is people that are dying out of ignorance. This law is there. There will be a lot of regulations to control tobacco consumption in this country. None of the control. Hence are all these diseases that we're having in this country. We even have the capacity to address those diseases? The answer is no. So better prevention than cure.
Close to 13 years, Zambia has failed to respond to the World Health Organization's framework on tobacco by tabling it before the lawmakers for discussion.
What we need now is to domesticate the FCTC as law here in Zambia. Tobacco has contributed to a lot of NCDs. The bill has gone through all the other processes, and it has even gone to BRA. So we believe the tobacco bill is still stuck here. The draft is still stuck here at Ministry of Health. We want it to move to Parliament so that it becomes law.
After standing outside the Ministry of Health premises, Dr. Kennedy Malama, who is Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, called the protesters for a closed-door meeting, which went on for about 30 minutes, only to come out with disappointed faces, which clearly meant that the answers from the government official were not satisfactory. The PS could, however, not talk to the media. This reporter tried to call Dr. Malama for a comment, but his phone went unanswered. The Consortium on Tobacco Control include the Center for Primary Care Research, the Cancer Association of Zambia, the Anti-Alcohol and Drug Abuse in Zambia, and the Zambia Media Network Against Tobacco. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
President Edgar Lungu says he will not hesitate to assent into law the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Bill. The head of state says he is just waiting on Parliament to submit the bill to him. President Lungu said this when a team of cybersecurity hygiene officials led its chairperson and Goodwill Cybersecurity Ambassador Tokozile Mwamba at State House Wednesday morning. President Lungu says he is concerned about the increase in cyberbullying trends, which he says has caused suffering and death of some people. Last week, Tuesday, the Cybersecurity and the Cyber Crimes Bill passed the third reading in Parliament, awaiting presidential assent for it to be enacted into law. The bill seeks to provide for the protection of the persons against cybercrime, provide child online protection, facilitate identification, declaration and protection of critical information infrastructure, among other related cyber crimes.
Surely there are a lot of positive things come out of that space that we don't seem to see. I think let's bring the good that this system is intended for to the fore, so that people begin appreciating. There was a time when people in Zambia were saying, that's for social media, I hate it on social media. Obviously, because of the level of confidence they had and they still have a lot of appreciation in that space. But the space where we can learn, can exchange ideas, can motivate each other, can grow our intellectual capacities and so on. Talking about the we can become a decent, law-abiding, God-fearing country if only we use that space for that. And for that same reason, as I alluded to, the bill international truth, and I'm sure I'll sign those, and you can count on me as a constant supporter, and I will give all the support that you need in your place to sanitize that space.
Persons living with disabilities in Solwezi district of Northwestern Province have complained of poor roads in the district. Holland Disability Chairperson Gift Kahangu tells Camnet TV News in an interview that disabled persons, especially those using wheelchairs, are having challenges to navigate through the bad roads, especially when it rains. More in this report.
2010 Census Statistics Report indicates that there are 251,427 persons with disabilities in Zambia. However,
Preliminary results from the National Disability Survey undertaken by the Zambia Statistics Agency in 2015 indicate a 7.2% prevalence rate, translating into 1,080,000 persons with disabilities in Zambia. Persons with disabilities continue to face social and economic challenges. Accessibility issues remain among major setbacks, hindering differently abled persons. In Northwestern Province, in Solwezi District, people living with disabilities have not been spared from the problem of accessibility. Holland Disability Chairperson Gift Kahango says when it rains, they find it difficult to navigate due to the bad state of the road, which leads to the Solwezi main market where they operate from. He has since called on the Solwezi Municipal Council to work on the road leading to the Solwezi main market.
Holland Disabled Association
we are operating here at the Solwezi main market, and the road leading to this place is in a very deplorable state. When it rains, we find it difficult to move with our wheelchairs as differently abled persons. We are appealing to the government through the Solwezi Municipal Council to come to our aid by working on this road.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, says it will not accept nominations from aspiring candidates for the 2021 general elections who do not meet the requirements of a grade 12 certificate. ECZ Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano told the media Wednesday morning that all aspiring candidates should ensure that they obtain supporting letters from institutions validating their certificates, which should be presented together with their nomination papers and verified certificates on the nomination day. Meanwhile, Mr. Shindano has condemned the behavior of some aspiring candidates who have begun campaigns before the campaign period takes off, and the Examination Council of Zambia Director Michael Chilala says English is a must on the certificate.
Debates have continued to emerge on what constitutes a grade 12 certificate for those aspiring to contest in the forthcoming August general elections. Following the guidance by the Constitutional Court in the case of Biswell Newton Nkunika versus Lawrence Nyarenda and the Electoral Commission of Zambia of 2019 relating to the interpretation of the term grade 12 certificate or its equivalent under Article 71D of the Constitution of Zambia, the Electoral Commission of Zambia says it will not accept tertiary qualification from aspiring candidates in the forthcoming general elections. ECZ Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano says qualifications from tertiary institutions such as trade certificates, diploma or university degree are not equivalent to a grade 12 certificate and therefore will not be separately accepted without a grade 12 certificate.
A tertiary, vocational, craft, trade or apprenticeship certificate is not equivalent to a grade 12 certificate. This is school certificate as it is not comparable in value, amount, meaning, and functions to a grade 12 certificate. For purposes of the 2021 general elections, all candidates will be required to have their grade 12 certificates or equivalent validated by the Examination Council of Zambia or the Zambia Qualifications Authority, ZACA. Take note that the qualifications from tertiary institutions, such as trade certificates, diploma, or university degree are not equivalent to a grade 12 certificate.
Meanwhile, the Commission has tasked institutions mandated to regulate premature campaigns to deal with all perpetuators of the law.
With the political parties, to ensure that they do not engage in premature campaigns until the Commission, as the mandate announces, as highlighted in our electoral calendar, or other activities that are outside the electoral calendar, unfortunately not fall under the jurisdiction of the Commission. And we expect that other government agencies that are mandated to regulate and manage such activities.
And Examination Council of Zambia Director Michael Chilala says the council is prepared to curb all forms of corruption practices and submissions of fake results during the process of verification.
Right, that for you to obtain a school certificate, there are two ways. You pass 6 subjects, including English, and in passing, you can even have grade 8, it's a pass. You pass 6 subjects, including English, but one of the 6 must be at credit or better. So if you have 6 subjects, and then these 6 subjects should include English, and one of the 6 must be at credit or better, then you have a school certificate.
The Electoral Commission has revised its electoral calendar to accommodate the provision of the dissolution of Parliament, which has been set for 4th May 2021. The general elections are an important aspect of the governing system, and the need to ensure that the elections are conducted in a transparent manner is cardinal to determining the future of the country. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A gardener within Kabulonga area has testified in the Lusaka High Court that he was terrified to see how a Kabulonga boy's pupil, Ryan Perry, was severely assaulted by 5 Twin Palm Secondary School pupils following a fight. Isaac Lungu has told the High Court Judge Sharon Newa that following the severe beating Ryan had received, he was forced to hide him at the premises he works for, fearing that the pupils might come back and finish him off as he was bleeding and needing urgent medical help. More in this report.
That they stop to hit him with golf sticks or they will end up killing him. The juvenile offenders of Twin Palm Secondary School did not stop at any cost. The Lusaka High Court heard this chilling testimony Wednesday morning when the gardener who witnessed what transpired on that fateful day testified before the court. Taking up the witness stand was Isaac Lungu, a 21-year-old gardener who in his testimony narrated that on the mature day while he was cutting flowers at his place of work, he saw Ryan Perry being chased by pupils from Twin Palm Secondary School. He testified that he was terrified to see how Ryan was beaten mercilessly by the juvenile offenders. He said he quickly rushed to the scene to help Ryan, but the juvenile offenders promised to come back for him. This is in a case in which Elvis Nsokolo is jointly charged with 3 juvenile offenders aged between 16 and 18 for the alleged murder of Ryan Perry on the 14th of December 2020 during a fight between pupils from Twin Palm and Kabulonga Boys Secondary School. According to the witness, the juvenile offenders came back in a large number looking for Ryan just like they had promised earlier, but he lied to them, directing them to a different location, alleging that that is where Ryan had run to. Yet, he hid him behind an old wall fence where he was working. Immediately they left. The 21-year-old witness rushed to get a cab and took him to the police station before he took him to the hospital. The court also heard that the deceased, while in his school uniform, bleeding and shivering with closed eyes, told him that he was going to die. While in the car, the deceased slept on the laps of the Good Samaritan who had rescued him on his way to get medical treatment. However, after leaving hospital, Lungu, the 21-year-old witness, returned back for work, but when he knocked off, he heard people saying that Ryan, a Kabulonga pupil who was in the afternoon beaten by his friends, was no more. To his shock, he could not believe that the boy he just helped had died. Lusaka High Court Judge Sharon Newa has adjourned the case to the 19th of March 2021 for continued trial. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Constitutional Court has set the 7th of May 2021 as the judgment date for the petition raised by the women's movement, youths and persons with disabilities over the continued discrimination from participating in the decision-making of the country. President of the Constitutional Court, Justice Hilda Chiwomba, set the date after hearing arguments from the petitioners, the Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, NGOCC Chapter 1 Foundation, and the Young Women in Action, YWA. The petitioners are arguing that the executive has been in breach of Article 259 of the Republican Constitution by not appointing 50% of both men and women to decision-making positions. They also argue that youths and persons with disabilities should be given equal representation in positions of decision-making as prescribed by the Constitution. However, in response to the petitioners, Attorney General Likando Kalaluka argued that it was practically impossible for the appointing authority to maintain gender balance at cabinet level because of various factors, including geographical consideration, skills, and the political affiliation of women in parliament. He argued that He urged the court to dismiss the petition on the ground that it did not take into consideration the various fundamentals for one to be appointed. And moving on in the news, the country has in the last 24 hours recorded 3 new COVID-19 deaths, bringing the total number of cumulative deaths to 1,117. Ministry of Health has reported that 262 new cases have also been recorded in the same period. This brings the total number of cases to 85,502. The ministry, however, says 25 new recoveries have also been reported, bringing the total number of recoveries to 82,457. However, with the current escalation in the number of people breaking the COVID-19 preventive guidelines, the country might experience an escalation in the number of cases. The situation has angered Patriotic Front Secretary General Mumbi Piri, who has asked the Zambian police to arrest all perpetrators of the law, regardless of political affiliation. We take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we still have more interesting stories lined up for you.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our Zesco units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Alamwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets.
Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
I'm Ambassador Frank Mutabila. My 50 years journey in the media has now taken me to Camnet television. I'm very excited to join this amazing inner family. The importance of governance issues cannot be overemphasized. Every Tuesday at 20:45, I'll be going under the skin of a governance issue with my guest. I'll be interrogating the guest so that you can make an informed decision. I'll be coming on every Tuesday at 20:45 with Frank on Camnet.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. The University of Zambia says it has planned to cut its workload by 40% from 2,200 employees to 1,300. UNZA Vice Chancellor Professor Luke Mumba says one of the key drivers leading to this decision is the high operational costs the institution is incurring. Professor Mumba explains that UNZA is currently cash-strapped and cannot continue keeping all the workers it currently has on its accounts. According to him, staff emoluments amount for about 80 to 90% of the total expenses incurred by the university, hence the need to get rid of some of its workers. The professor adds that the current debt owed by the institution stands at 4.4 billion kwacha, with the average annual deficit standing at 800 million kwacha. He has since appealed to government to increase the grant so that the institution can meet most of its payroll obligations.
The key drivers in the high operational costs are the UNZA staff costs, which account for 80 to 90% of the total expenses incurred by the University of Zambia. Arising from funding gaps, the University of Zambia has been exposed to intermittent delayed payment of salaries. Further, the University of Zambia has fallen behind in the remittance of statutory obligations and settlement of retirement and contract gratuities. Moreover, the University of Zambia has fallen behind in paying providers of utilities, resulting in a myriad of litigations, which are also very costly to the institution. The total UNZA debt stands at 4.4 billion kwacha. On its part, management has produced a restructuring plan, which will entail right-sizing the number of employees from 2,200 to 1,300. This will be a 40% reduction in staffing. Since to achieve this, we require funding, which we do not have, we shall do it in a phased manner over a period of 4 to 5 years.
The Movement for Democratic Change, MDC, has elected Felix Mutati as its party president at its convention. The convention was held under the new normal in all of the 10 provinces. Mr. Mutati had only one challenger, Mr. Elias Piri, who also withdrew from the race, paving way for Mr. Mutati. More in this report.
The most important democratic tenet is to hold intra-party elections, as this is used as a mirror of hope by electorates towards the leaders of particular political parties. In preparation of the August 12th general elections, political parties have been holding party elective conferences to elect new leaders who will not only appear on the ballot in August, but also serve the party as leaders depending on various political party term limits. 17th March 2021, the Movement for Democratic Change, MDC, held its first ever National People's Assembly under the new normal. The Assembly saw 13 National Executive Committee members elected representing all the 10 provinces, and Felix Mutati as party president, who went unopposed after his contender withdrew from the race. Gears Initiative monitored the election and announced Mr. Mutati as duly elected to serve his party as president.
As the returning officer for this
National People's Assembly for both the presidency and the National Executive Committee members, I hereby declare that the said Mr. Felix MUTATI has been duly elected President of the Movement for Democratic Change.
In his acceptance speech, Mr. MUTATI says MDC will liberate Zambia from the ailing economy once given a chance to lead this country, pledging to continue holding government accountable even in opposition.
The feeling amongst ourselves that it's going to be easy in this economy. It is time when we start that hard work that is required to repair the damage of the economy, so that that ordinary Zambian is able once again to send the child to school. That ordinary Zambian is able to place food on the table. That Amaisoro once again can be able to wake up with hope and plan the day. It requires a lot of hard work.
And Mr. Jibenzi, as commissioner in charge of the election, described the MDC party election as peaceful, fair and successful, urging other political parties to emulate them.
This should be emulated by all political parties. We want to see, as civil society, we want to see an orderly process, competitive but orderly, so that we build our democracy. We don't want to hear that in this Congress, this convention, there were pangas, there were bloodsheds and so on. We don't want that. And I think for MDC, you have demonstrated that maturity, and congratulations for this kind of organization and achievement.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
A new political movement called Zambia Christian Parliamentarians has been birthed ahead of the August 12th general elections, with a call on the church to support their members who have political ambitions. The association, which is being supported by the Christian Coalition, draws its membership at the moment from a pool of aspiring members of parliament from political parties in the country. The association so far has 37 members from various political parties across the country. Zambia Christian Parliamentarians chairperson Dr. Emmanuel Nkoma has told a media briefing that they want to create unity of purpose, coexistence and tolerance among political parties.
Just as the famous quote by Edmund Burke states, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." And this group of Christian politicians wants to be counted in propagating Christian principles in politics in view of promoting civility in national governance. The Zambia Christian Parliamentarians members have denounced political violence and acknowledged the need to coexist despite holding divergent views on various national matters.
We know that there are other organizations that are doing so much to ensure that Zambia can remain united. But this is basically an organization by Christians that are aspiring to become members of parliament. And so our agenda is simple. We want to ensure that we have a united Zambia.
We want to serve our communities. So today is a day to introduce ourselves to the nation. Let them know that they are servants of God. They are believers who want to do something great for our nation. We believe that leadership is serving. We want to improve the welfare of our communities.
Here the coalition is campaigning on the theme we have entitled God's Church Must Rise.
Wow.
The God's Church in Zambia must rise by supporting Christians. There is a myth in Zambia, chairperson, that when one stands in politics, the church says you're backslidden.
Yeah.
And we are trying to correct that myth by a church to rise and support their own deacons, their own elders, their own leaders in the church and pastors who offer themselves for public office.
Yes. Zambia Christian Parliamentarians chairperson Dr. Emmanuel Nkoma says they will support all political parties as he called for issue-based politics ahead of the August 12 general elections. Dr. Nkoma has also implored Christian businessmen and the church in general to support Christian politicians. He observes that in order to bring sanity in the governance system, the church must play an active role.
To promote tolerance and encouraging issue-based politics, we want to call upon Zambia to focus on issue-based politics, which is different from politicking, rather than politics of the stomach. And I'm here to speak to all the members of ZCP and all the aspiring candidates and even those that are already in power, but after the House is dissolved.
He has underscored the need to address lawlessness among political party cadres, thuggery behavior, corruption, and the trend of dishing out money to citizens in exchange for votes. He says they have chosen to heal the country and live beyond partisan politics.
Us as politicians throwing money, by us as politicians giving out those gifts so that people can vote for us, we will not discuss issue-based. Therefore, we are corrupting the minds of our people. We know that we are hungry. We know that people are hungry. So when we will go out and flash money and we say we are campaigning, we must know we are corrupting our people. And we want to encourage every Zambian politician to refrain at all costs from such kind of dirty politics.
This is just but the many developments to unfold as the poll day nears. Patrick Soko, Camnet News, Lusaka.
After announcing that his party will support the Patriotic Front (PF) in the 2021 general election as they are in a political alliance, National Congress Party leader Peter Tanda now says he will run as president. Mr. Tanda has since expressed confidence that he will win the election without any iota of doubt. According to him, he claims that Zambians are solely behind him as they have seen that he is the only man who can bring about political civility. And Mr. Tanda says when elected Zambian president, he will ensure that he prioritizes local government so that councils can be able to generate their own revenue and reduce dependency on the central government.
People deem fit, they can give us the mandate. But we want to show the rest of the world that you can engage in politics without scandalizing or bringing the name of a particular candidate into disrepute. Secondly, our focus will be on the local government. We are a federal system government kind of policy as New Congress Party. And we would want to state that decentralization must be actualized. And we want to see a situation that we have a Zambia where the local authority are not dependent on government. There is a lot that local authorities can do. There are a lot of revenue sources that the local authorities can be able to do. So my call to the local authorities is that it is time for you to wake up, be sound and relevant. We are not going to sit down, but we are going to make sure that we showcase what a councillor is supposed to do, what an MP is supposed to do. The recent crop of councillors and MPs that we've had, I want to state that some of them, I can be able to say that I don't even know if they know the reason why they are elected. So my call to the Zambian people that it is time to redefine the art of politics and create a better change. And as New Congress Party, we are saying we are ready for the game.
Action Aid Zambia has expressed sadness to learn that Chipata Council workers have not been paid their salaries for the past 8 months now. Action Aid says the council is is violating the workers' right to a fair wage following their input. Action Aid Country Director Nalu Chaziba is concerned that the revenue collection by councils have been weakened over the years due to the non-actualization of the decentralization policy. Ms. Ziva explains that the policy is key as it seeks to decentralize operations of the central government to the lower organs of government, such as the council themselves. We now take our second set of commercials. To stay with us as we still have more interesting stories lined up for you.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Dr. Bigron, musaibala komutienda okuni gift na land. Uchitenkubeti uibise mojo basaione. Oh! Mwina mushi, nakuletera njinga. Latest ina rufesi gear na mawaipa.
Difficult chidi ya shidi ya njinga. Liam 19 pendefcon. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipu sana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a camera, difficult.
It's communication. We got it. Indemo me. Powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mufumile kukalale. Na mnaimo muli bakumushi. We got it. Yo Bikron, utola inoleta nchemfule mungani. Get you watch the poster and change. 1, 2, 3. Both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
Zambia, your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Time,
Friday and Saturday, 14 hours to 18 hours. Admission, free.
Make a date with us.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, soldiers in the Republic of Congo are voting ahead of Sunday's presidential election so they can help with the security on voting day. President Denis Sassou, who has been in power for the past 40 years, is seeking a 6th term. But as Al Jazeera's Malcolm Webb reports from the capital Brazzaville, rights activists say there is no space for a democratic process as killings, torture and arrests remain a constant threat for government critics.
Gertrude Nganga says she's so worried about her husband, Alex Zabana, that she can't sleep. He's a rights activist here in the Congo Republic. She says he walked out of their home one morning last week and then disappeared. Neighbours told her men wearing plain clothes took him away. She's since learned he's been detained by Congo's secret service.
He is an elderly person. He is unwell, and I'm scared they can torture him there. I don't know the living conditions there. He is already unwell, and that's what worries me.
The plainclothesmen briefly brought Zabana back in handcuffs and searched his home. Gertrude says they found this jacket. He bought it on a trip to Paris. and they suggested he was plotting an armed rebellion.
According to the neighbours, when Zabana came out of his gate, there were men in plain clothes waiting for him parked in a car just here. 2 of them tried to bundle him in the back, he resisted, so then 2 more joined in, he was forced into the vehicle and it drove off in that direction. The rights activists say it's common for the government here to arrest and imprison anyone who it sees as a threat to its grip on power.
President Denis Sassou Nguesso has ruled for most of the last 40 years, and he wants to carry on. He's running for re-election in Sunday's presidential polls. Rights activists say there's no possibility of a democratic process. Trésor Nzila worked with Zabana. Trésor says he's documented dozens of cases of killings, torture and disappearances. He says Zabana was campaigning for democracy and for the release of political prisoners.
What you have to understand is that we're in a dictatorship. The arbitrary arrests, the torture, the restriction of civil space are typical of a dictatorship. Will the government take more political prisoners? I don't know. But the reality is, this is a dictatorship.
In the last election, 5 years ago, this man ran for president. He's a former army general. He was one of 2 opposition candidates who contested the results. They were both accused of plotting to overthrow the government. We asked the Interior Ministry about the activists' complaints.
The human rights activists have always worked. Have any complaints been submitted? On the eve of the presidential election, is this all part of the game? I cannot tell you anything because at the Interior Ministry we have never been contacted regarding supposed assaulting of mines by the police.
Gertrude said she knows nothing of Zabana's human rights work. She just wants her husband to come home. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Brazzaville, Congo Republic.
We now get into sports news. And in sports news, Zambia's representatives in the CAF Confederation Cup NAPSA Wednesday afternoon gave away a comfortable 2-0 lead to draw 2-0 with JS Kabylie of Algeria. NAPSA were seeking to pick up their first draw following a 2-0 loss the club suffered at the hands of RS Berkane of Morocco. NAPSA showed intent to win the match as early as the 12th minute when Jimmy Mukeya put the pensioners in the front before Dozie Soko added another in the 63rd minute. As the match progressed, JS pulled one back with Amos Simwanza heading in his own net from a free kick in the 83rd minute. With the match headed in NAPSA's way, JS found the net again in the 90th minute through Nezra, leveling matters at 2-0. NAPSA remains at the bottom of the table with 1 point, while JS Kabylie is leading the table with 4 points, followed by Cotton Sport coming second with 3 points, as well as RSB Berkane, who equally have 3 points. Meanwhile, the match between Kana and Raja Casablanca ended 2-0 in favor of Raja Casablanca.
Cotton Sports make the trip to... Let's take a look back at some of those first half highlights. Well, this was the opening goal. Good battling work from Austin Banda. The cross came in, headed against the post by Dozie Soko, and the rebound fell kindly for Jimmy Mukeya. Just had to head it in from a couple of yards out. But he did get the ball. Munchelin Ganga in all sorts of trouble there. Fortunately for him, Tabal. Cross is delivered. Not a bad one either. The NAPSA Stars keeper. Ball is floated in. It's beyond. As the players jostle for position. Played in by Ben Shira. A flick on. Might drop again. Finds his man. Mukeya continues his run into the box. The shot is deflected. Well, if it was Mukeya who grabbed their first ever goal on the group stage, The second, well, it was an absolute gift. Ahmed Karoum. And Usama bundled home by Simwanza. Turned into his own net. Free kick towards the far post. Nodded back across goal. Cheeky. Simisa Nesla. It was brought JS Kabali back from the dead. 2-2 in the 90th minute. 2 goals late on here for the left foot. Goes for goal. And straight away to NAPSA Stars.
That sports item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a recap of the headlines. ECZ says no grade 12 certificate, no parliamentary office. Felix Mutati wins MDC presidency 7 months after party's formation. UNZA plans to prune its workforce by almost half due to financial crisis at the institution. In international news, Congo-Brazzaville voters lack hope of free and fair presidential election. And in sports news, NAPSA Stars gives away a 2-0 lead to draw 2-0 with Algerian side. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Mark 16, verse 15 to 16, and it reads, "Then he said to them, Go into all the world and preach the gospel to the whole creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.